Augustin, today we focus more on the topics of AI, autonomous driving, and assisted driving. So, first question is, what are your highlights for today? What are you looking for?
One of my passion topics is definitely autonomous driving. So I'm really looking forward to this panel discussion round. So let's hope that it's that emotional as the e-fuel session yesterday, which was great. So yeah, this is definitely one of my highlights. And then the second one is like everything around like cloud and connected cars. I think this is one of the main differentiator going forward. Then also how to then also enable more functions in the cars, maybe bring costs down, etc. Yeah, so these are the two topics.
Yeah, great. We have also AWS in the agenda later on, and probably we will talk about that as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to software, I know that you agree that there is no one single way that leads to Rome. So maybe can you give us an overview about the different approaches, strategic approaches that the OEMs choose?
Yeah. So as you said, it's quite diverse what we see there in the industry. There's not only one way to then achieve software, and I mean the main goal is not like to achieve software, to have like the best customer experience in the vehicles by software, and there we see the different approaches. For example, one is what we see at Ford or then also at Renault, like where they say, okay, let's split the company in kind of a like old business, everything linked to the ICEs and the old platforms, not that software driven, and then like a new business then for software driven EVs. So this is one approach, for example, that we see in different areas in Europe and then also in the US, and then also maybe linked to the IPO plans, which we have also seen it or like that were discussed at Renault. So this is definitely one approach. Then the other one is more like integrated, something we see at the premium OEMs with like Mercedes or then also BMW, and also in the US with like GM and some others there, where it's okay, look, doesn't make sense to have like a split of the business or to found a new like entity. It's more okay, let's build the software, the IT team within the organization, and then have like one big setup. That's something we see there. Of course, here in Germany we talk a lot about Volkswagen and CARIAD, which is another approach. Something we also see at Toyota in Japan, where they have like woven by Toyota, where they have basically a separate entity to drive then the software components or the everything related to tech and the E/E architecture, etc., and then try to bring it into the brand. So this is then also like a third approach that we have, and I mean this is all competing against the greenfield approach that we see maybe at Tesla or also the Chinese players with NIO or Xiaopeng, Rivian maybe in the US, and I think this is where they're all aiming for. But there it's also important to understand that it's okay, they're coming from like nothing basically, by sheet of paper. They were able to build a dream team on like as organization, as like competencies they have and so on. So I think this is, I also get often asked why is there like a difference? Why is Tesla able to do that and Mercedes or like any legacy OEM, why do they have problems? And I mean, they're like the new ones, they don't have like the legacy they have to turn around and transform. And that's something like the big established players have, and that's one of the challenges.
Yeah, as you just said, so those are the approaches for the companies that have to transform, right?
Yeah.
And are not software first companies like Tesla and NIO, for instance. And do you see, let's say, approaches that are more prominent than others, outsider approaches, so to say, or?
I think as mentioned, there are multiple approaches, and we see multiple legacy OEMs that are trying those approaches. I think we talked about it yesterday also. There needs to be a fit of the approach they choose and the organization they have, the skills and maybe also budget they have, the strategy they want to follow. So there, I think all of the approaches could work. We see multiple players in each of the approaches we have. So I think it's still like ongoing to see okay which approach might be more successful. Maybe all of them are successful. So let's see.
And how do the suppliers fit in there? Are those approaches also for them, or are they OEM specific?
It's more like OEM specific, I would say, but what has changed is the relationship between the OEMs and the suppliers. So what we know from the past is that it's more maybe like a purchasing agreement. So they go to like one of the tier 1 or tier 2 suppliers and just buy like the parts they need. and now it's more like partnerships. Yeah, so you can't think in silos anymore. You really need to, like, especially if you think about the new like architectures of the vehicles, then the new computers, high performance computers in the cars, etc., software on it, and also like in the process of decoupling hardware and software, etc. So that doesn't make sense to have their silos anymore and just shoot over like a purchasing order to one of the suppliers. So you really need to do this together, and I think this is then like the biggest change or transformation there, that it's moving from purchasing agreements to then real like partnerships, or then also joint ventures that we have then also seen in the industry.
Even revenue sharing, right?
Revenue sharing, yes, there could be then also like different business models, business cases as well.
And do those different approaches in how I interact or collaborate with suppliers also coincide with those strategic approaches as the OEMs use, so that I have, let's say, the split the company approach as an OEM, and then I'm working in a specific way with a supplier, or is it completely independent?
I haven't seen that so far. It's more that they then try to maybe acquire new competencies, or like companies with new skills and linked to autonomous driving or ADAS functions, etc. And then, okay, it's either they try to integrate it, or then also keep separate companies to run it. Yeah, so I would say it's a different approach. It's not that I haven't seen it at suppliers then really like cutting the company. Maybe okay, Conti, I think they have done it with then also the IC technologies. So there's also like a lot of movement on okay, how to then structure and how to partner.
Maybe coming to different maturity levels in terms of software development, can you give us a quick assessment, a quick overview of where you see the Chinese, the US, and the European OEMs?
Yeah, I think there's also, it's hard to differentiate it by region. So there are really good ones in each. Yeah, there are really good ones in China, really good ones also in the US and in Europe, but also at the same, there are ones that need to close some gaps on software. I mean, we talk a lot about BYD, for example. Yeah, so I think their like strength is more in like battery technology and like low production costs. They have realized now, okay, we need to do something more on software. Yeah, so I think they invest now like $14 billion is in the next couple of years in software. Yeah, so I think they're also like the hyped players we have like in the media or in our discussions every day. That's also okay. Need to look behind the curtain and see. Okay, it's maybe on the software side not there where we expect them to be. And then it's the same with like European players. Yeah, there are some would say okay, they're maybe lacking behind, but then okay, they really did their homework already and have improved the software. And then there are still the ones all across the board. Yeah, also in the US and China and here where you really have to where they have to close the gaps. And sometimes it's like per brand, sometimes it's just per like model line, etc. Yeah, so I think we need to be a bit more, let's say, fragmented or diverse. It's not like a black and white answer.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's always this approach to structure the world,
yeah.
see clearer. Augustin, thank you for the moment. We'll speak again later on.